Asbolid las of otirparopi, faith beyond feelings is not an easy lesson to learn. It's one thing to say you trust God when everything is working, when the doors are opening, when prayers are being answered, and peace feels natural. Asti has kelpid las of otijarpoli. But what happens when life stops making sense? When the feelings that once carried you fade away, and you're left standing in silence, that's when faith becomes real. Because real trust isn't proven when you can see the outcome. It's proven when you can't feel anything at all but choose to believe anyway. There comes a time in every person's life when the emotions that once fueled your faith seem to disappear. You no longer feel that spark, that excitement. That rush of spiritual confidence you once had. It's almost like the light dims and you begin to wonder if you've lost your way. But this is not the time to give up, it's the time to grow. Because faith that depends on feelings will always fade, but faith that stands on truth will last forever. Feelings change with the weather, but the promises of God remain unshaken. When life hits hard, the temptation is to look for a sign. A feeling, something to reassure you that you're not alone. You may pray and hear nothing, cry and feel nothing, hope and see nothing. But even in that nothingness, there is something sacred happening. As well as it has, that silence is not abandonment, it's training. God is teaching you to trust not with your emotions. You may not feel his presence, but that doesn't mean he's gone. In fact, it's often in those quiet, as well as it has empty moments that he's closest, working on something inside of you that's far deeper than comfort. It's called maturity. Faith beyond feelings is learning to walk in the dark with the same confidence you had in the light. It's saying, even if I don't feel it, I know it. Even if I don't see it, I trust it. It's the difference between emotional belief and spiritual confidence. Emotional belief says, I believe because I feel good. Spiritual confidence says, as well as it has of otarpople. I believe because I know he's good. That's the kind of faith that can't be shaken by fear, loss, or uncertainty. It's steady, it's strong, and it stands even when the winds of life are violent. When everything around you collapses, you'll find out what your faith is really built on. If it's built on emotion, it will crumble. If it's built on truth, it will stand. Sometimes God allows our emotions to fade because he wants to remove the training wheels. He's saying, now, trust me because you know who I am, not just because you feel me. It's a deeper kind of trust, one that no storm can take away. There's something powerful about believing when you don't feel like it. Every time you choose to trust instead of fear, to praise instead of complain, to hope instead of doubt, you are strengthening your spiritual core. You're building a foundation that can't be moved. You're proving to yourself that your faith is not fragile, it's fierce. And that kind of faith becomes a testimony to others who are still living by their emotions. They'll look at your calm in the chaos, your peace in the storm, and wonder how you're still standing. The answer is simple. You've learned to trust beyond what you can feel. There's a story being written in your silence. When the feelings are gone, God is still present. He's stretching your faith. Growing your patience and deepening your roots. A tree with shallow roots can't survive a storm, but one that's rooted deep can stand through anything. That's what faith beyond feelings does. It roots you deep in trust so no wind, no heartbreak, no delay can uproot your peace. So don't let your emotions define your faith. Feelings are temporary, but trust is eternal. Every moment you choose to believe without evidence, you are walking on the water of faith. Every step says, I know what I feel, but I also know what's true. That truth will carry you farther than feelings ever could. One day when you look back, as well as you'll realize that the times you felt least connected were the times you were actually growing the most. Because faith that survives without feelings is faith that can survive anything. Keep trusting, keep walking. Keep believing, even when your heart feels numb and your spirit feels dry. That's the proving ground of real faith. The kind that changes you forever. Because when you can trust God without needing to feel him, you've entered the highest form of faith, pure, unshakable trust that no circumstance can break. Every difficult season carries a purpose hidden within it, even when all we can see is pain. Life's hardships often feel meaningless at first, like random storms that come to destroy rather than shape us. But when you look deeper, when you allow faith to lead your vision instead of fear, you begin to realize that every tear, every closed door, every moment of loss has been woven into a larger plan. Pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the classroom where trust is taught and strength is developed. Al as a t has half otier pro pli. What we call a setback is often a setup for something greater that our limited sight cannot yet see. When life hurts, it's easy to ask, why me? We want explanations, reasons, closure. As it has kelpid loss ofotachar puope. We want to understand what good could possibly come from heartbreak, betrayal, failure, or disappointment. But sometimes understanding isn't what we need, trust is. Because there are moments when God doesn't reveal the purpose right away. As it has helped layouts of otar popeli, not because he's cruel, but because the process itself is part of the plan. If he showed you the outcome too soon, you might rush it, or worse, you might walk away from the very lesson that will carry you into your next blessing. As it has helped lust of the pain you feel today could be the seed of the wisdom you'll need tomorrow. Purpose often hides behind discomfort. When everything is comfortable, we grow complacent. We stop reaching, stop praying deeply. As helped of otar piopeli. Stop depending on anything beyond ourselves. But hardship breaks that illusion. It brings us back to humility. It reminds us of our need for grace, for faith, for divine direction. Pain has a way of stripping away what's unnecessary so we can finally see what truly matters. It refines us. It exposes the false things we've been leaning on and forces us to build our foundation on something unshakable. Think about it. Every strong person you've ever admired didn't become that way through ease. Strength is built in resistance. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified by fire. The same is true for the human spirit. Without pressure, we stay ordinary. With it, we become extraordinary. The very situations you thought would destroy you may be the ones preparing you for your highest purpose. The pain you're feeling is shaping the strength you'll soon walk in. Sometimes what looks like a dead end is really divine redirection. You may have lost a job, a relationship, an opportunity, and it felt like failure. But later, SIT has helped lots of OTRPOPE. You'll see that it was the only way to push you into something you would never have chosen on your own. Growth rarely feels good while it's happening. Transformation requires discomfort. SAT has hail PD yachts ofo parpiopoli. You can't reach the next chapter if you refuse to turn the page on the old one. Purpose always asks for something from you. It asks for surrender, trust, and the courage to let go of what's no longer meant to stay. Asti has hail pilas ofo trpopeli. There will be days when it feels unfair, when you wonder why your life seems harder than others, when you watch people who do wrong get ahead while you struggle to keep faith. As it has boyd r pulley. But you must remember that the process of purpose isn't the same for everyone. Some lives are called to deeper things, and deeper callings often come with deeper refining. As it has helpedao oth otshr pabeli, you are being shaped for something that requires the kind of endurance only pain can produce. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. When we stop fighting the process and start trusting it, everything changes. As it has helpilas ofot erpop. The pain doesn't disappear immediately, but it begins to make sense. You begin to see patterns where you once saw chaos. You realize that every disappointment was protection, every delay was development. Every heartbreak was a hidden doorway. It's not always visible in the moment, but it's always working behind the scenes. It has helpilos of popili. The worst chapters of your life often end up being the most essential ones because they lead you to discover who you truly are. So the next time you face something painful, don't rush to escape it. Ask instead, what is this trying to teach me? There's always a lesson inside the hurt, a purpose behind the pressure. You may not see it today. But one day you'll look back and realize that the moments you cried the most were the moments heaven was closest. The seasons that broke you actually built you. The tears that fell were watering the soil of your destiny. Purpose in pain is not a cliche, it's the hidden truth at every struggle. The same hands that allowed the storm are the ones guiding you safely through it. The same heart that let you walk through the fire is the one standing beside you in it. You were never meant to understand every step, only to trust that every step has meaning. And when the pain finally passes, you'll see that what once hurt you now holds the key to your strength, your wisdom, and your purpose. Every scar becomes a story of victory, every struggle becomes a chapter of transformation, and every season of pain becomes proof that what was meant to break you was actually sent to build you. Letting go of control is one of the hardest lessons in life because our natural instinct is to fix, manage, and understand everything that happens to us. We want answers, explanations, and timelines. We want to know why something happened and when it will get better. Deep down, we crave certainty, but faith doesn't operate in certain as in surrender. The more we try to control everything around us, the more anxious, frustrated, and exhausted we become, because control gives the illusion of peace, but it never truly brings it. Real peace comes when you stop wrestling with what you cannot change and start trusting the one who never changes. There are moments when life simply refuses to cooperate with our plans. You pray, you plan, you try, and still things fall apart. That's when frustration creeps in, not because life is cruel, but because control has limits. You can't control people, timing, outcomes, or even your own emotions all the time. You can influence some things, yes, but you can't dictate how everything unfolds. The need for control is often rooted in fear of being hurt. Fear of being disappointed, fear of the unknown. But fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. The moment you release control, you create room for faith to work. Letting go is not weakness, it's not giving up. It's choosing peace over panic. It's admitting that while you don't have all the answers, you trust that life still has purpose beyond what you can see. When you let go, you stop trying to be the author of your story and start allowing the real author to write it the way it was meant to be. You don't lose control, you exchange it for peace. Because the truth is, you were never meant to carry the weight of everything anyway. That burden was never yours to bear. Some of the hardest heartbreaks come from trying to force things that aren't meant for us. We chase people who've already walked out. We cling to plans that have expired, and we hold on to what we should have released long ago. And when those things slip from our grasp, we feel broken, not realizing that letting go is sometimes the greatest act of love we can give ourselves. Every ending isn't a loss, it's redirection. The things you let go of today could be clearing space for something better tomorrow. Letting go also means trusting the process when it doesn't make sense. It means staying still when your instincts tell you to fight harder. It's the kind of trust that says, even though I don't understand it, I believe there's something greater happening here. And that belief becomes your anchor. The more you try to control the storm, the more it tosses you around. But the moment you surrender, you find calm in the middle of it. Sometimes life has to break your plans before it can bless you. The path you design for yourself may not be the one that leads to your purpose. And though it hurts, the detour is often the direction you were meant to take all along. You can't see the full picture right now. But one day you'll look back and realize that everything you lost was making space for everything you were meant to gain. Letting go of control is an act of courage. It's saying, I may not understand this, but I trust that it's working for my good. It's learning to breathe again after disappointment, to find gratitude in the middle of waiting, and to walk forward even when you can't see the next step. That's where peace lives, not in knowing every detail, but in trusting the one who does. There will always be moments when you're tempted to take control back, to fix, to force, to rush the process. But remember, every time you take control out of fear, you step out of peace. Every time you surrender in faith, peace returns. Sometimes the most powerful prayer you can pray isn't long or eloquent. It's simply, I let go. Those three words carry freedom. They remind you that you're not in charge of everything, and that's okay. When you release control, you're not saying life will be easy. You're saying you'll face it differently. You'll stop fighting the current and start flowing with it. You'll stop asking why and start saying, what now? You'll find that peace doesn't come from getting your way, but from knowing that even when you don't, you'll be okay. So take your hands off what's breaking you. Stop trying to fix what's not yours to fix. Breathe, release, and trust. Because every time you let go, you rise a little higher. Every time you surrender, and you grow a little stronger. And every time you stop controlling, you make space for miracles that control could never create. Letting go isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of a better one. Patience in the process is one of the greatest tests of faith. We live in a world that moves fast. Everything is instant. Everything is urgent. And waiting feels like wasting. But the truth is, the most powerful things in life take time. Growth takes time. Healing takes time. Transformation takes time. There's no shortcut to what is meant to be lasting. The process might feel long, slow, and even painful, but patience is not punishment. It's preparation. Every delay carries divine purpose. Every pause carries hidden progress. You may not see anything changing on the surface. Something is being shaped deep within you. We often think that waiting means nothing is happening, but in reality, Asati has helped loss of RPOP. Waiting is where the most important work is done. It's where character is built, where faith is tested, and where endurance is developed. The waiting room is not empty space, it's sacred ground. Asamayal SIT has helped loss of OTARPOPLE. It's the place where God molds you in the person capable of carrying what you've been praying for. Sometimes the delay is not about what you're waiting for, but about who you're becoming while you wait. If you received everything you wanted the moment you asked, you might not have the strength, wisdom, or maturity to handle it. The process teaches you to trust timing that is higher than your own understanding. Impatience often makes us rush ahead of divine timing. We think, it's taking too long, maybe I should just make it happen myself. But rushing the process often leads to disappointment because what comes too soon may not last. Asiti has helped lots of OTHERPOPLE. Timing is everything. There's a reason flowers don't bloom in winter and fruit doesn't ripen overnight. If you try to force it, you spoil it. Patience protects what's meant for you. It ensures that when your moment comes, you're truly ready for it, not just emotionally, but spiritually. There are seasons when everything feels still, when doors remain closed no matter how hard you knock. That stillness can feel like rejection, but often it's protection. It's in those quiet seasons that you're being refined. You're learning resilience. You're learning to depend not on instant results, but on quiet assurance. Every time you choose patience instead of frustration, faith instead of fear, SIT has helped a load you are passing a test that moves you closer to your purpose. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what you can with peace and leaving what you can in God's hands. SIT has helped a lot pure popel. It's the balance between action and trust, between moving forward and knowing when to be still. The process may not look like progress, but it is. Just because you can't see the seed growing underground doesn't mean it's dead. SIT has helped a lot of otar. The roots are forming first, and that hidden growth is what sustains the visible harvest later. Sometimes the process will stretch you to your limits. You'll wonder why things aren't changing, why your prayers seem unanswered. Why others move ahead while you're still waiting. But patience teaches perspective. You start to realize that your journey isn't meant to look like anyone else's. Everyone has their own timeline, and comparison only steals peace. When you stop comparing and start trusting, waiting becomes lighter. It no longer feels like a burden, but a quiet act of faith that says, I believe good things are coming. Even if they're not here yet, the process can be uncomfortable because it breaks pride and builds character. It's in waiting that humility grows, that gratitude deepens. You begin to appreciate small progress, small blessings. And small victories. You stop demanding perfection and start celebrating growth. Patience turns frustration into faithfulness. It shifts your focus from the destination to the journey itself. Remember, every great story includes a waiting season. SIT has helped us OTHRPOPLE. The most beautiful things in life often take time to unfold. You may not see what's happening behind the scenes, but the delay is not a denial. What's meant for you will not miss you. It's simply maturing in the background. As well as a shall paid lot and when it arrives, it will come with peace, not pressure. So don't curse the waiting, don't rush the process. Instead, let patience do its work. Keep showing up, keep believing, keep preparing, even when nothing seems to be moving. Something is growing within you, strength, wisdom, resilience. These are the invisible fruits of patience that will sustain you long after the process ends. One day you'll look back and realize that the waiting wasn't wasted. As well as to has off helped a loss of OTR Polpi. It was necessary. It was the season that built the foundation for everything that came after. The process was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. And patience was the tool that made you ready for the promise. SIT has helped a loss of OTHR POPLE. Strength through surrender is a paradox to the human mind. We are taught that strength means control, effort, and determination. That the strongest people are the ones who never break, never bend, and never give up. But true strength is found not in holding on, but in knowing when to let go. It's in surrender that we discover peace, and in peace that we discover power. To surrender is not to lose. It's to align yourself with a force far greater than your own understanding. It's saying, I don't have all the answers. But I trust the one who does. It's in that moment of release that you stop fighting against what life is doing and start flowing with it. When life becomes unbearable, when your strength runs out, LSIT has HRPE. Surrender doesn't mean defeat. It means you've reached the point where your human effort ends and divine help begins. It's the moment you stop relying on your own limited power and allow grace to take over. There's something profoundly freeing about admitting, I can't do this on my own anymore. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. Because the moment you surrender control, you open the door for peace, healing, ASIT has help los OFOTHERPOP, and restoration to step in. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to stop fighting what's already been decided and trust that even in what feels like loss, there's a plan unfolding beyond what you can see. ASMEL, ASIT as hail, paid loss, OF, OTHERPOP. Strength through surrender teaches you to accept life as it comes, not with bitterness, but with faith. There are things that you'll never understand until you stop trying to control them. Some doors close not because you failed, Oswell, SITS, Helpalots, OFOT, Air, POPLE, but because they were never meant to open. Some people leave your life not to harm you, but to make room for growth. Some dreams die only so greater ones can be born. When you fight these moments, you drain your energy. But when you surrender, SIT, HAS, LP, LOS, OF, OTE, PERPELP, you find calm in the chaos. You begin to realize that strength is not about forcing outcomes, it's about trusting outcomes. Surrender also brings humility, and humility is the birthplace of wisdom. As well as IT has helped lots of otarpaopli. It takes humility to admit you don't know everything, that your plans might not be the best plans, and that maybe there's something greater waiting beyond what you wanted. It's not weakness to bow before what you don't understand. Asmel SAT has helped loss of OTHERPOPLE. It's courage to do so, because it takes real faith to trust what you can't control. The world sees surrender as failure, but in the spiritual sense, it's the beginning of victory. You stop trying to push the river and learn to flow with it. SIT has helped loss, OTHRPOPLE. There's a quiet strength that grows in those who surrender daily. The strength to keep believing when nothing makes sense. The strength to stay calm when life feels unfair. The strength to forgive when you could hold a grudge. Asite has OHRPOPLE. These are not signs of weakness, they're signs of deep spiritual power. The person who has learned to surrender is no longer ruled by anxiety, pride, or fear. Asite has kalpidlo test ORPOPLE. They've learned that peace doesn't come from controlling everything, but from trusting that everything is under control. There will be times when surrender feels like breaking. When you release something you love deeply, a dream. AT has help of OTRPOP, a relationship, a plan, it hurts. But just because it hurts doesn't mean it's wrong. The breaking is part of the becoming. Like a seed that must crack open before it grows, surrender feels like the end, as will as ITHLP to loss OF, OTR per OPLE. But it's actually the beginning of new life. You may not see it now, but in time you'll realize that the moment you let go was the moment everything started to come together. Strength through surrender is the art of saying, ASIT has helped lots of OHRPOP. I choose peace even in uncertainty. It's choosing to trust when you have no evidence. It's standing still in the storm, knowing that the same power that controls the winds also holds your life in balance. Every time you surrender, as T has HELP has TRPOPLE, you're saying yes to peace and no to panic. You're saying yes to growth and no to fear. The world may call it giving up, but heaven calls it growing up. There's a powerful truth in surrender, what you let go of willingly. As well as ITHLP loss POPL, you never truly lose. When you release it, you place it into hands more capable than your own. That's when transformation happens. You stop being burdened by what you can't fix and start being lifted by what you can't explain. As the peace that follows surrender is unlike anything the world can give. It's quiet, unshackable, and pure. So if you're tired of carrying the weight of what you can't control, if you're weary from trying to make everything work, it's time to surrender, not in weakness, but in wisdom, not because you failed, but because you finally understood that life was never meant to be carried alone. Strength is not found in fighting endlessly, it's found in resting confidently. The hands that form the universe are capable of holding your life together too. When you truly surrender, you'll discover that what you thought was the end of your strength was really the beginning of your peace. Hope that anchors the soul is what keeps us steady when life feels like an unending storm. Hope is not just wishful thinking or blind optimism. It's a quiet assurance deep within that no matter how dark things get, light will return. It's the voice that whispers, keep going, when everything around you says, SIT has help at E lots of or papil. Give up. Hope is not built on circumstances, it's built on faith. It's an anchor, not a feeling, something that holds you firm when everything else is shifting, breaking, and changing. When life becomes unpredictable, SIT has herald LA. Hope reminds you that not all storms last forever, and that even the waves that try to drown you are carrying you closer to your purpose. There will be days when the weight of the world feels unbearable. When you look around and see no progress, no signs of change, and no reason to believe that things will get better. In those moments, hope becomes more than a word, it becomes survival. It's the unseen force that keeps you breathing. the invisible strength that keeps you moving forward even when your heart is tired. Hope doesn't deny reality, it just refuses to let reality find your future. It tells you that pain is temporary, that seasons shift, and that something beautiful can still come from what feels broken. Hope anchors the soul because it connects you to something unshakable. Life storms will always come, pain, loss, uncertainty. Heartbreak. But hope ties you to a truth deeper than the storm. It reminds you that you are not adrift, you are held. The wind may be fierce, but you are not without direction. The waves may be high, but you are not without strength. Hope doesn't stop the storm, but it keeps you from being swept away by it. It says, this may be hard, but it's not the end. It's that stubborn belief that somehow, some way, things will work together for good. Even if you can't yet see how. What makes hope powerful is that it's often born in pain. You don't truly learn hope in the sunshine, you learn it in the shadows. It's in the nights when prayers go unanswered, when dreams fall apart. When silence seems endless, that's where hope grows its deepest roots. Because when everything else is stripped away, hope is what remains. It's not fragile, it's forged in the fire of adversity. The people who radiate the most peace are not those who've never suffered, but those who've learned to cling to hope when everything else was falling apart. Sometimes hope is not loud, it's a whisper. As well as it's that quiet decision you make every morning to rise again, even when you don't feel like it. It's saying, today may not be easy, but I'm still here. That's the beauty of hope. It doesn't need to shout, it just needs to endure. And every day that you hold on, that you choose not to give up, you grow stronger than the storm trying to destroy you. Hope also changes how you see time. When you have hope, delays don't feel like denials, they feel like preparation. You start to understand that just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it never will. Hope allows you to live in patience instead of panic. It keeps you grounded when others are overwhelmed. Because you've learned that the waiting season is not wasted time. Something is forming, even in the stillness. The very thing you're hoping for may be closer than you think, but it takes faith to keep believing through the silence. When you anchor your soul in hope, you stop being controlled by fear. Fear looks at circumstances and says, what if it never changes? Hope looks at the same situation and says, even if it takes time. I know something good is coming. That's the difference between despair and endurance. Despair says it's over. Hope says it's just beginning. Hope doesn't erase pain. It gives pain a purpose. It turns what was meant to break you into something that builds you. Every person who has ever overcome something great has done so because they refuse to let go of hope. Hope gives you vision when your eyes can't see. It gives you strength when your hands can't hold on. It gives you courage when your heart is afraid. It keeps you moving when logic tells you to stop. And even when you feel like you're losing everything, hope reminds you that you still have something worth fighting for, the belief that there's more ahead than there is behind. So when life gets heavy, hold on to hope like a lifeline. Wrap your soul around it. Because it will hold you when nothing else can. Hope is not non-vid, it's powerful. It's the anchor that keeps you from drifting into despair. It's the light that leads you through darkness. The strength that carries you when you can't walk. And the promise that what's coming is better than what's been. No matter how fierce the storm, no matter how long the night, hope will always whisper the same truth. You will make it through this. And one day, when the storm finally comes, you'll realize that it wasn't your strength that kept you standing. It was your hope that never let go.